This £183 million will be taxed at 40%. So this couple just won £184 million on the lottery. I mean, quids in, their luck really, really came in. And someone asked me on Instagram what I would do if I won that level of money. And to be honest, I don't think that I could even begin to relate to how they must be feeling, what they must be thinking. So instead, I'm going to be answering the question of what they should do with that money, hypothetically, assuming they were a client in front of me and I had my financial advisor hat on. So I'm going to keep everything very, very high level because we can get into the weeds on this, but hopefully you'll find it informative around some of the things that people actually have as an option at this level of wealth. So the first thing that probably most people will be surprised at is the fact that there is zero tax to pay on this 184 million. It's a lottery win. So therefore you get to keep 100% of what you won without paying tax. Now moving forward, if they have capital gains income from it, so on and so forth, you're gonna have to pay tax on that. But not paying tax on the winnings is a massive, massive win. Now we know about this couple is they're relatively young. They're 44 and 49. And man, what a place and what a time to actually win money like that. They've got 2 kids. I think he's already quit his job and she has a salon with her sister, which she's now justly rethinking whether she wants to continue or not. Now, look, this kind of stuff doesn't really happen a lot. I mean, it's a 1 in a million chance that this basically happens. But one of the first things that I think would be really, really important to have as a conversation with someone like this is to decide what they want their life to look like. The reality is they've got £184 million in their bank account or heading to their bank account. And as I say on this channel, money is a tool, life is for living. They are never going to be in that headspace where they have to worry about paying the bills or living. Now they have all the money they could ever want. Now it's about prioritizing what they can do with that money. So how they're going to use that money as a tool to live the life that they want. And so for me, if they were in front of me and I was their client, I would literally just tell them, look, right now, things are obviously a little bit crazy. You've got all this press coverage. You're probably going to have all your friends and family congratulating you. That comes with expectations. Take a month, maybe even 2, book a ticket, go somewhere you've always wanted to, and maybe have a moment of reflection. Think about what you want your life to be moving forward, because now the money is there. You can do whatever you want now. So what do you want that to be like? We have so many stories of lottery winners in the past who won a lot of money, but they went broke or they found it really, really difficult to cope with. The mental fortitude that you need to be able to deal with this kind of stuff because of the different kind of pressure that comes with it, expectation, right, it's difficult to deal with. And so you need the mental fortitude. So taking time out, maybe create a bucket list. What are things you really want to do? What do you want life to be? That is fundamental to anything that they discuss with a financial advisor or a wealth manager and before they begin investing money. So that's the first thing I would tell them. The main priority, I would guess, would be the fact that for this couple, it's not about generating income anymore. They've got enough money to generate whatever income they basically want. That is not an issue. The big issue here is wealth preservation. That's the real game here. And this is an interesting topic to have a conversation about because we recently, had a national outcry and backlash about the fact that Rishi's wife specifically, used questionable tax mitigation tactics. This is going to be very, very real for this couple. Do they, I guess, pay all of the tax? Inheritance tax is one that I actually want to talk about because they will have to pay capital gains tax, they'll have to pay income tax. But inheritance tax is the really big one. This is generational wealth that they have here. If they play this right, their kids will never have to work. Their great-grandkids will never have to work. Their great-great-great-grandkids will never have to work. Now, I've got my whiteboard up here, and I am going to basically just share with you how inheritance tax planning works. Well, not inheritance tax planning, but how inheritance tax actually works. Because there may be a segment of the population who are saying, well, why would they want to mitigate inheritance tax given the fact that we're in a cost of living crisis right now? That the money they didn't work for, it came to them for free because they won it in the lottery, and surely they should give back to the state. I think that's an ideal to, I guess, ask. Ideologically, it's fine, but practically, would you do it? If you won £184 million, would you want to pay inheritance tax to the levels that I'm about to show you? So I've got my whiteboard like I normally do on live Q&As. Let's go through how inheritance tax actually works. So inheritance tax at the moment, how this typically works is you have an allowance for a couple, as a household, as a couple, that you can pass on to your kids without paying any tax on it, inheritance tax on it at all. At the moment, for a Mr. and Mrs., that is £1 million, and that is inclusive of what we call nil rate band and the residence nil rate band. So that includes property. So that's cash, investments, and property. £1 million. For normal people, that's a lot of money, right? And for normal people, it is worthwhile using because many people may not actually breach that. So no inheritance tax to pay if you are under or at that £1 million limit. But let's be realistic. These guys have £184 million in cash burning a hole in their bank account, which means they are £183 million over the £1 million threshold. Now, there are lots of nuances that I don't know about. I don't know their personal circumstances. This is very much high-level calculations. So technically speaking, this £183 million will be taxed at 40%, which is about 72.3 million quid. That is going to be their inheritance tax bill. And they don't get to pay this, their kids get to pay this. So the question is, would you want your kids to pay that level of tax if you won the lottery and you wanted to leave money to them? Again, this is generational wealth. Let me know in the comments whether you'll be happy to pay that amount. Now, in reality, there's lots of things you can actually do to mitigate it. Things that are not illegal. Things that are written within our tax laws that are allowable, right? So, you could have a look at things like trusts. You can wrap a lot of money into a trust. The trust owns the money. And because the trust owns the money, it's outside of your estate. So that's a really nice way of going about it. And from that trust, you can also generate an income. You can do a lot of stuff with it, sexy stuff. So from a trust point of view, that will be something that their advisors are going to be looking at setting up for them. Another thing they could do is they could have a look at things like offshore bonds, right? So offshore bonds are really interesting tools. How they basically work is with an offshore bond, you are allowed, or any bond in fact, you're allowed 5% withdrawals, and those are tax deferred withdrawals. So you've got to pay tax on it, but it's deferred to the future. But interestingly, if you put £1 million into this and you're able to take 5% per annum, that equals 50k per year. Now, for many people, that's enough to live on. For them, it may not be, because I'm sure they're going to upgrade their lifestyle. They're going to have a lot of things they're going to want to do, they're going to spend money on. But £50,000 is still a lot of money. Now, the great thing about bonds and how this 5% withdrawal thing works is the fact that if you don't take it in year 1 and you don't take it in year, 2, let's just say you have 5 years.
Thanks. I hope you have a nice one.
Thank you, Siri. So let's just assume they don't take... Thanks. So let's just say for you hold your bond and you don't take your 5% withdrawals for the first 5 years. Well, these basically accumulate. So your 50k per annum that you could take, you can now times that by 5 and take £250,000 in one go. An offshore bond is a beautiful thing. And I'm sure that, again, this may be something they're going to talk through with their advisors. But there's lots and lots of stuff they could basically do. Now, obviously, guys, we talk about ISIS here on the channel. £20,000 is £20,000 really going to make that much difference to them with 184 million quid? Probably not. Let's be 100% real. They're not going to be putting money in trading 212 and eToro. And this leads me to one of the big issues they are going to face. Where do you place this money? The Financial Services Compensation Scheme only covers you to £85,000, which is a drop in the ocean for them. So they're going to be selecting big institutions, maybe the likes of Coots, private banks, international firms, maybe even, that have the capacity and the experience to deal with this kind of level of wealth. I mean, they're going to get very bespoke kind of services. What it really boils down to, though, is what they come back with on their hiatus that I asked them to go on. What do you want life to look like? Because quite literally, the saying for this channel applies 100%. Money is a tool, life is for living. They have the money. How is that money going to help them live that life that they essentially want? I have an interesting question for you guys. We're going through a bit of a cost of living crisis right now. Do you think that they should give some money to charity, give money to social causes, to food banks or anything like that? Because I'm sure that's going to be a question that many people will ask. Would you do it? I mean, one of the things that they could do is they could actually set up a charitable trust. So they could set up a trust for charitable purposes. That keeps the money within their realm of control, but it's something they could do. But what do you think? Would you do it? Would you want your kids to pay huge inheritance tax liabilities? Or would you use trusts, things that are within our tax code, to use that are completely 100% legal to try and mitigate future tax for your kids, for your next generations? What would you do? I'd be really, really interested to know. And it's a very topical take on the society that we live in right now, especially with the cost of living crisis and the outrage and outcries that we're hearing so much about across the news and social media. But anyway, let me know what you think, guys. Leave a comment down below. And if you haven't joined the members group at the moment, live Q&As are going to be reserved for members only. You can check out the join button down below. If you do join, I hope and look forward to seeing you there. Have an amazing weekend. Catch you in a bit.